Hi everyone, good morning, good afternoon, good evening. I hope you're all okay. Today here in Cairo, I look like tired because today it was like 45, 46 degrees Celsius here, and I'm just aside the desert, so it was impossible even to breathe outside. A lot of hot, and the hot led me like a bit down. So let's begin today with the day of our niece in the emotional week of the month of Aries. The topic for today is independence. Okay. So first of all, remember what is independence. Independence has 1, 2, 3, and 4 different words in one. In comes from the particle ne, that means no, without, that is not. Then the particle de, that means from up, below, so something that is above coming down. Then penden, that means to hang from some place. And then ya, that means concept. So independence, which in English would be an E here, E-I-A becomes an E in English, means the concept. So is the concept of something that is hanging from something that is above. That would be, so dependence means something or someone that is hanging below something, or is hanging from something that is above. And independence means that is not hanging from above. Okay. Perfect. So let's remember that we are going to speak about independence related to our niece. This means that the concept of independence will be spoken according to what our niece means, which is the story, our history, our own history. So of course that when we speak about independence related to our niece, is connected to the idea of our ancestors, of the links that we have with our experiences throughout our own life and the ancestors' life. Of course that the concept of independence is in our head related with the history of the freedom of the countries, and also related to that person that decides to live alone besides the other ones, besides the relations that this person has with other people. So of course that for us in our culture, we hear a lot the terms independence or an independent person a lot, and as something really good, and we encourage people to be independent because we hear this word when we celebrate the freedom of the country. So we are like celebrating this concept of being independent of someone, from someone, or we celebrate and encourage people to have their own life, to decide their own decisions, and so on. So we kind of honor the concept of independence in most of the countries. But even though we don't really know exactly how to live being independent, because we have many struggles trying to be independent. So let's go from the big picture and then we go to the small one. So speaking of the big picture, let's talk about the independence of the countries. The reason why a country wants to be independent is mostly because some other country took power over the territory or over the culture of one place, and they started to fight back to try to gain back the freedom of choice. So they just pushed back the crown or the empire that were taking power, so they could gain the power back. So gaining, having independency would be like taking back the power of self-government and to not hang from the power of others, not to be just a part hanging from the main source, to be their own source. So of course that usually what happened is that once the government, this new country, separated and begin as independent, usually what they start to what happens inside this country is that maybe they have different regions with different cultures, different languages, different ideas, also that they were all fighting together in order to gain independence, but they can also claim the independence from that new country. And what usually happens is that this new government denies the independence of these tiny regions of people. So this same example can be fractalized until only one individual, like in different regions, in different cities, villages, and families. And then we have this individual that wants to separate, to do something different, something new, apart from the other ones, but that the other ones doesn't accept their freedom or independence because they don't understand what they want to do. So usually when people, the cultures, the civilizations, the nations celebrate the independence of some people, of some others, or when they gain independence in the past, but when they have to speak about setting free or talking about the freedom of certain groups inside their own freedom, their own territory, the answer is no. So they repeat exactly the same. So why does this happen? Why some independence is good and why some independence is not? So examples like this are many, thousands in our history. It's difficult to understand why this would happen. Like, for example, when the states get independence in 1776 from the British, and immediately when they have this, the same states, they start to fight each other. They start to have this conflict that takes to the civil war, because some states from the south wanted to be different from the states from the north, and the north put their power on the south, and now we have the United States. And the same thing happened in Brazil, for example, when a great part of the country wanted to stay in the crown of Portugal, but the other ones were Republicans, and they forced them to stay in the Republic or in other countries like in South America and Central America, they also forced other regions inside the same country to be part of a new country, independent, but they didn't want it to be the same country. They wanted to do another country, and they were forced to be part of it. So as we see, even today, we have examples like in Scotland, like Catalonia, many territories that they could be different. They could become another country, and it won't be a problem if the people are independent from a territory, if they stay exchanging constantly like we do today. So the concept of one country holding different territories that think different is something that is a very old idea regarding nationalisms. Why? Because they were trying to take care of the power of a territory to hold economics, to hold population in order to take power. But today, in a time of networks, in a time of exchange, in a time of globalization, nationalisms doesn't make any sense. It's weird to think about this even today, to take care of a country with only one capital taking care of many territories that think in a different way. So as you see, the reason why we have, well, as you see, what we have been creating with the nationalisms has been because before was only one king or queen that said, I am the one that will take care of all of you. All this territory is mine. And whoever lives in this territory will have food, will have house, and will have security. So everyone will be safe here. Everyone will be fine. If I am always in the power, you will be fine. Okay, so they create like a brainwash to all the people to make them believe that that territory was of them. So they created the nationalism as an idea of protection of the only territory and to protect the same government. So the government would create the idea that everyone that is outside is an enemy, and all the enemies must be pulled out. So that's what a nationalism is. They believe that you belong to a territory. They believe that you are part of a group that will protect you. Whatever happens, this group will protect you. And we create this concept of nationalism in order to keep the government working. That's the only goal. That's the only thing. So that's why, that's the moment when we lose the real independence, which is our own independence. And I will go now to the individual independence. So the reason why exists a nation is because we wanted to make a bigger family. So follow the image. At the beginning, we have two individuals, one individual, feminine, another individual, masculine, that procreate a new one, the kid. So we have the first group here, mom, dad, and son. Okay. So here we have some more people around. So they create what we call a family. Family, remember, comes from fam, that means hunger. So the ones that share the food because they are starving. Okay, that's the origin of the word family. So we can say here that we have now 3 families because they get together, a son with a daughter with a son. So they get together and they create a groups of families. So we need someone picked from this family that will lead the herd, is the one that will take care of all of them. So then in the Roman times, at families, were divided in groups of 3. So they divide them for administration in group of 3. So that's why they were called tribus, tribes. The name tribes. The tribes are this new organization. So what we have here is that these families here depends one on the other. They share the food, they share the culture, so that's why they depend one from the other. So this person here is the one that tries for these 3 families to be together in order. So that's why these 3 needs to maintain this one for everyone to feel safe. This is why to this person we give tributes. So the one that has all this is attributes. Attributes is the one that has all the tributes. So suddenly, more families will appear. So this person here with so many families will become the regent, the one that leads, that says what are the rules. So that's why it becomes the re, which is the king. Rex in Latin. So as much family start join, much complicated become the culture. As many families we have here, a lot of cultures is complicated. So what this person here in the center has to do is create an idea to unite them all. So that would be to create one only language so all can understand, only one tradition, and make them all like only one family. So that's how a nation is born. All thinking the same, speaking the same. This person here before was having tributes because the people know him, because he was the same family. But when there's so many families, nobody know him. They only know that he's the king. That's why it becomes from tributes to taxes, something that is imposed, obligated. In Latin languages is imposed. So let's go back to this family here. This family were hungry. So they saw that with this person here, the king, they were not hungry anymore. So they started to trust all the other families to work hard together in order to solve their problems of hunger and security. So this person here that was hungry had a son, a kid, and told the story of how they survived. And they had another one, and they told the same story, and another one, and the same story, another one, and the same story. And now, all these generations arrive to us with information in the genetics and the energy, in the emotion of everything that happened these first ones. So now if we take this as a tree, here you can see the tree. And what are all these new generations doing? They're hanging from the tree. And how do we call hanging from the tree? We call that to depend. So because we have been depending from our ancestors, we behold inside the energy, the idea, the concepts that we are safe and secure if we are part of a nation, of a family, below a flag, a group. And now this is nature. This is not bad. This is fine, because instead of families here, they be particles, atoms, molecules, chemical composed. Nature needs to depend of others in order to exist. So the problem is not to depend. What is the problem? So now, there were some people here that instead of being fighting to try to survive because they were hungry, because they were fighting a war or whatever, they were able to just sit down and think and wonder, is this the real way in which we can do this? So they started to change things by thinking. They started to rethink the civilization. They created arts. They created more culture, philosophy, science, technology. And that's the reason why we are here. That's the reason why we're here speaking through a computer, because of those people that had the time to think instead of just fighting or starving. So suddenly, what we have here is that all these people that were coming here, until this one that had an idea, this person here cut the consequence of this tradition. So this person broke the family heritage. There were many that suddenly said, oh, I got it. Now I know. But from all of them, there were many of these people in the same time that decided, oh, now I know another solution. But we only remember one, because only one got to do it. So why only one achieved to reach the transcendence? Because most of them were exiled, pushed away by their own families, because they were just dishonoring the tradition. They broke the clan. The biggest fear of an individual is not to have the clan to protect that person. But the one that allowed this, that did this, helped all the others to move forward in evolution. So every person that did something different since the invention of the wheel the discovery of agriculture, and all the things that had happened until now, every little discovery were changing the whole nations and the whole cultures. And one day, some people came, had an idea, they cut the head of the king, the queen. That's the French Revolution. But now think about this, that most of them were denied by society. Why? Because their ideas were changing the comfort of the system. It's because of this, because of the fear of being rejected in the security of the clan, of the system, that we are incapable of being independent. And this is why every time that something happens, that we gain independence, all the clans get together as a nation and they say, stay here below me, that I will take care of you. This is how fear creates protection. Protection creates control, and control creates dependence. So in order to be able to gain the independence, the real independence of the entire system, the first thing we have to do is to gain the independence of our own clan. Because otherwise, what we are doing is to project the fear we have from our own clan into the entire system. So from here, what you have to do is to try to check from any therapy in the way that you could find what are those things from which you depend on your family and your clan. And also, what are the biggest fears from which I depend of a nation? How many of you have felt proud, or the pride of being American, the proud of being French, the proud of being German, whatever? When you feel pride, we can show up this idea that we are just holding a system that was created to control the individuals. Individuals, we are independent from nature. But because we are afraid of being independent, is that we are dependent from nature. When we transcend the idea of dependency of our clan, when we transcend the idea of nationalisms, we start to be aware, to be conscious that we are really independent. And with being independent, I don't mean that we live away, that we just don't connect with anything anymore. No. What I'm really saying is that being independent is when you are not affected, when you share with your family, when you share with friends, when you are in a relationship, when you are when you are in a nation, in a system, because you are self-sufficient, because you are self-referred. That would be. Let's go to the information.